Okay, so next thing that I got to work on is we have to make sure, so now I'm going to need to embed this in clay. And typically I want to have something that goes about 2 finger widths away from the wall of the piece. Okay, so I need to create a little clay platform that's going to go in a square around this. Now if I had a wheel, which technically I do, but you don't. So if I had a wheel, I would actually just put this on a wheel and just like build some clay up around that, and then that would be pretty quick. But because you don't have a wheel, I'm going to help you out on that front. Okay, so step number 1, let's get some clay. And this can be any clay. Honestly, I'd use the recycled clay if you got it. This is sold $8.60. Okay. So it can just be solid clay. It can be just a wall. Like really, it just depends on how much clay you have and what you feel like doing today. So that actually is not too far off of flat right now, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. Let's clean this off a little bit. And I'm going to actually make a little slab here that's going to be kind of thick. So here's an extra slab technique for you guys. And I'm going to do it 2 sticks thick. Yeah, I think that'll be good. And I need my wire cutter. Stay where you stay. It was like stuck like 2 seconds ago. All right, not the best thing in the world, but good enough. Okay, now I'm gonna use this as a little guide because I just needed a circle. Okay, that's like cut there, but it really doesn't matter. It'll work out fine. Okay. So I'm gonna get a board. So now we're starting, guys. So I need to make a wall of clay that goes up to here. Okay. So I'm gonna set that on the board. I'm gonna put some clay around the side here, and this clay really just doesn't matter. It's just to get some height. It doesn't need to be pretty. I'm dropping things on the ground. And I want to get this like right in the middle of the board because I'm gonna put some boards on top of this to cast it, which it'll make sense in a little bit. I find it's just, I try to explain mold making early on, and this is one of those things where I feel like I do a much better job just showing you guys as opposed to trying to like get you to understand the entire concept before we even start. When you're mold making, I don't know, you just think different about everything, because you're thinking about, because we have to create the negative space of this form. Okay, we have to create everything that's going to be around this form that creates this positive here. Okay, so this is where, ooh, this is going to work out great. The only reason I did this is I just wanted to make that top bit like a little bit easier to flatten out, because it's going to need to be super smooth when I cast this. Otherwise, regrets. So I just wanted to give, and this is honestly the most time, this first piece and this first kind of setup is the most time consuming and the biggest pain in my butt. Honestly, it's like why I don't want to do this for a living. You can make some good money making molds, depending on where you are. If you're in China, not so much. But out here, like I personally I used to make molds for people like on request. And I wouldn't do it unless they had to pay me $300 before I'd even like consider making them a mold. And then every additional piece after 2 pieces, I would charge another $50. Because a lot of times people just want molds of like really ridiculous stuff. And I'm like, I don't really want to even waste my time on that. But if you're willing to pay me money, then I will waste. If you're going to pay me money to waste my time, I will do that. Because then it's not a total waste. But I'm not going to just like, you know, do you a favor for no apparent reason for you to make a form that's just not that interesting. Now, if you wanted to make something interesting, maybe we can talk. But like people are like, oh, can you make this like random, I don't know, Christmas ornament? I'm looking for my rib. Okay, so these are our 2 helpful ribs here, ones that have a 90-degree angle, so that your wooden one can work too. The downside with the wooden one is sometimes it's not actually like flat. So this one isn't great, but it will definitely get my starting point. I can even just use, I mean, really, I just need anything that's flat at this particular moment. Flat, and that can get into a corner. Now, this part is really worth doing right. So take your time at it. And the reason why is basically like every flaw that's in this part is now going to be in every other part after this. So you do a crummy job here and it's not going to get better. Like you're not going to magically like pull it around. I'm putting some clay underneath here because sometimes it just is sagging. So I don't want it to sag at all. You want it to be a nice tight connection. And the thing that is most important about this is this seam right here. You want it to be as close to like kind of a 90-degree angle with the piece as possible. So sometimes I see people and they'll like build it and it's like coming up in like a mound around it. And that is you're gonna make the funkiest mold that's gonna break super easy. So don't do that. Let's see. You can see we got it right along the edge. I've made that as flat as possible. And now I need to clean up all of this skunk. But one of the things that I want you to look really closely on is right on that edge. Look at how it's like, again, 90 degrees with that like curve. That is what we are looking for. To the best of our ability, we want it 90 degrees with that curve. Okay. Now, let's see, I need to do some cleaning. Because any of these little marks on here are going to show up on our casting. So you got to get rid of all of your crumbs. This all needs to be super pristine. What's the point of spending all of that time making that smooth when you just go and muck it up with some crumbs on the piece itself? Okay, now I did make some crumbs on my other piece, so guess what? It's just like everything else in ceramics. You clean one thing, and then you gotta clean the other thing. You clean one thing, then you gotta clean the other thing. And you just keep on going until you get it done. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and get rid of these crumbs. going to do the walls. I'm going to put cottle boards on.